The courtroom was already tense before the first document was displayed. Everyone expected another routine legal battle, another hearing, another round of arguments between opposing attorneys. But within minutes, the atmosphere inside the room began to change. The judge stopped the proceedings and demanded a clearer explanation from both sides. Not because of a dramatic statement or a political argument, but because new questions had emerged from the evidence being presented before the court. For weeks, both sides had been preparing for this moment. Prosecutors claimed that the latest evidence could significantly change the direction of the case. The defense argued that the material required deeper review and warned the court against making conclusions before examining the complete context. Then came the moment everyone inside the courtroom was waiting for. The judge looked through the documents again. A long silence followed. Attorneys on both sides watched carefully because in a courtroom, silence can sometimes reveal more than words. The question was simple but important. What exactly did these new documents show, and why did they create such a major disagreement between the two sides? The evidence package presented in this fictional scenario contained multiple layers of information, including financial records, communications, and witness statements that prosecutors argued created a detailed timeline of events. According to their argument, these records connected several decisions that had previously appeared separate. But the defense viewed the same evidence from a completely different perspective. Their argument was that individual documents could easily be misunderstood when removed from the larger picture. They told the court that complex organizations involve many people, different departments, and professional advisors. According to the defense, a document alone does not automatically prove responsibility or wrongdoing. The next phase of the hearing became even more intense because the court was no longer focused only on what happened. The bigger question became, why did these decisions happen and who is responsible for them? That distinction changed the entire direction of the discussion. The prosecution returned to the timeline and argued that individual events might appear normal when viewed separately. A financial decision, a communication, a change in valuation, a signed document. On their own, each piece might seem insignificant. But prosecutors argued that when all of those pieces were connected together, they created a larger pattern that required serious examination. The defense strongly disagreed. Their argument was that a pattern does not automatically equal proof. They explained that large organizations operate through multiple employees, executives, advisors, accountants, and legal teams. According to the defense, decisions made inside a complex business cannot automatically be connected to one person without direct evidence showing involvement. The judge listened carefully because this was the central issue before the court. Not public reaction, not media headlines, not political opinions, only evidence. The hearing then moved toward expert testimony. A financial specialist was brought forward to explain how large organizations handle valuations, reporting standards, and internal approvals. The expert explained that financial values can sometimes differ depending on the purpose of the report. A property valuation used for one reason may not always be identical to a valuation prepared for another purpose. That explanation immediately became one of the most debated points of the hearing. Prosecutors argued that different numbers are not automatically a problem, but the reason behind those differences is what matters. They said the key question was whether the information was presented honestly and whether decisions were made with proper documentation. As the hearing moved into its final hours, the pressure inside the courtroom continued to grow. The arguments became more detailed, the questions became more specific, and both sides understood that every statement could influence what happened next. But the judge remained focused on one thing above everything else: the evidence. Not assumptions, not speculation, not outside reactions. Only the information presented inside the courtroom. The prosecution returned to the timeline and focused on what it described as a pattern of communication and decision-making. According to their argument, the documents showed a sequence of events that developed over time, involving multiple conversations, approvals, and financial decisions. Prosecutors argued that the importance was not found in one single document. One email alone might not change the direction of a case. One financial record alone might not reveal the complete picture. But when multiple pieces were connected together, They claimed those records created a timeline that raised important questions. The defense challenged that interpretation. They argued that prosecutors were trying to connect separate events and create a conclusion that the evidence did not actually prove. According to the defense, every document must be examined with full context. A conversation can have different meanings. A financial decision can have multiple explanations. And a disagreement between experts does not automatically prove wrongdoing. The judge continued questioning both sides. The questions became more direct. Who approved this decision? Who reviewed this information? What information was available at that moment? Why did certain actions happen in that specific order? Those questions highlighted the biggest challenge facing the court: understanding intent. Because in complex legal cases, the most important question is often not only what happened, it is why it happened. A mistake and a deliberate action can sometimes